Diddy is loaning it, y'all. The internet is in total meltdown because Biggie's final voicemail before his tragic death has allegedly exposed Diddy's tapes. Yes, tapes. And what's in them? Oh, honey, brace yourself, because it's all unraveling fast.
When you look at Big Murder, do you believe he came to LA too soon after Tupac got killed?
I don't know the temperature, but I can give my opinion. And the reason why I say I don't know the temperature, because I was already in the county jail. But from what I hear from different people talking, you know, people talk in prison, people talk on the streets, people run their mouth. And if it's true, I can't say if it was too soon for him to come to LA or they came to LA because they wanted to. I was told that he wasn't ready to come to LA. I was told that Puffy pretty much made him come to LA. And that puzzles me because rumor has it that all the different rivals involved in it.
Christopher Wallace, or as the world knows him, Notorious B.I.A.'s Biggie Smalls, was murdered in a brutal drive-by shooting in Los Angeles on March 9, 1997. The case is still unsolved, and fans have been begging for answers for over 2 decades. And now, we might be closer than ever to the dark, twisted truth that's been hiding in plain sight.
The music world is numb today, stunned by the violent death of gangster rapper Notorious B.I.G. The tragedy happened here outside of the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles, where the rapper, also known as Biggie Smalls, was attending a Vibe magazine party for the Soul Train Awards. Now, shortly after midnight Saturday, Notorious B.I.G. left the party and got into his car when another car rolled by and shots rang out. At least 5 bullets ripped through the door, killing B.I.G., who was sitting in the passenger seat. Dozens of heavily armed cops arrived on the scene as word of the shooting spread. The bullet holes in Biggie's vehicle are mute testimony to the gang-style drive-by shooting that took the life of the Brooklyn-born rapper, whose real name is Christopher Wallace. Smalls was rushed in his bullet-riddled vehicle to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. Dozens of fans, many overcome with grief, held a vigil at the hospital.
They've got a number of individuals that they're speaking to right now, and we're hopeful that we can resolve this matter relatively soon.
These are pictures of the 24-year-old Biggie at the Vibe party just hours before he was killed. Eerie images of a man who had no idea of the violent fate awaiting him.
For years, whispers swirled. People kept pointing fingers, but one name just kept popping up again and again. Diddy, yep, his own mentor. The guy who launched Biggie into superstardom. People believed there was something sinister behind the scenes, the music rivalries, dirty cops, and music industry cover-ups. But no one could prove it. Let's rewind to the 90s when hip-hop was split down the middle, East Coast versus West Coast. Diddy was ruling the East with Bad Boy Records, and Biggie was his crown jewel. Over on the West Coast, Suge Knight ran Death Row Records, home to Tupac Shakur. And baby, they did not get along. Tensions exploded in 1994 when Tupac got shot in New York and blamed Diddy and Biggie without proof. Tupac took things nuclear in 1996 when he dropped Hit 'Em Up, dragging Biggie and even claiming he had been with Biggie's wife, Faith Evans. What started as lyrical sparring had turned into a full-on war. And then Tupac was murdered in Las Vegas. 6 months later, Biggie was gone too. Coincidence? Please.
When somebody's shooting at you, your first reaction is not to get a description of them, but to take cover.
2 of the biggest rap icons, both gone in a flash, one from the East, one from the West, and behind them, Diddy and Suge Knight. 2 men at the center of it all.
I was assigned to Biggie's case as a result of a reinvestigative effort by the LAPD.
Enter Greg Kading, retired LAPD detective, and the man who just might have the receipts. He jumped on the case in 2006 after the original investigation fell apart, especially after a lawsuit alleged that LAPD officers David Mack and Rafael Perez helped cover up the murder. And that lawsuit, it just disappeared.
It's been so many years. Why hasn't this case been solved?
Well, if you were to ask me, I would say it is solved. I would say that it's solved but unprosecuted. So this is one of the murder books.
But Kading stuck with it, and now he's saying what fans feared all along. Biggie's death was retaliation for Tupac's. He claims the order came straight from county jail, and yes, Suge Knight's name is all over it.
The time that Biggie Smalls was killed, Suge Knight was in the county jail. So in order for him to communicate with somebody on the street, he had to go through an intermediary, which was this female who was visiting him in jail.
There's even testimony from a woman, her identity protected, who visited Suge pretending to be a legal assistant. Girl, this is like something out of a crime thriller.
But while she's telling us, she's got tears in her eyes, she's clearly frightened.
She allegedly helped Suge coordinate the entire thing. Cold, calculated, ruthless.
That allows her to go in, sit down with Suge, and have unmonitored visits. Deputies can't overlisten on the phone, they can't stand there and overhear the conversation. So that's how it was set up, so that she could have confidential conversations.
The LAPD statement literally says, quote, during more than one of these visits, Knight instructed Rumpy to help him coordinate the murder of Christopher Wallace. And it doesn't stop there.
She said that Suge told her, I want you to get a hold of Poochie, figure out what type of money it's gonna cost, and tell him that this is what I want done. So she then, there's a series of meetings. She goes and meets with Poochie. They agree on an amount. Suge makes the arrangement for that money to get transferred. She pays Poochie, and he goes and sets himself up at the Peterson Auto Museum and shoots and kills Biggie.
Poochie, the alleged hitman, real name Wardell Fosse, also known as Darnell Bolton, was seen in photos with Knight. But by the time detectives zeroed in,
so we knew that he was somebody who was dangerous, somebody capable of doing these things, but we didn't know it was him until the other co-conspirator confessed it.
He was already dead. Just like that, Ghost taking secrets to the grave.
I know I made the call and had a conversation. If you doing security, if you retire police, or if you still a cop, you're gonna have your firearm on you. And if you didn't even have a principal of what you was doing security for, you're gonna have your firearm on you to protect yourself first. Now, if you doing security for Tupac, the best artist in the business ever, the most controversial, the most loudest, the more aggressive, and you're not gonna have your gun on you. I say that, and I look at that, and I say, wow. Then I look at the situation. Like I said, I was in jail, but the situation, how they say it went down with Biggie, I feel bad for Puffy. He in that motherfucker cell, cold, hungry as a motherfucker, bored, probably nervous, but at the same time, unless he was totally against Biggie, I feel his pain. And I'm not saying he against Biggie, but I think that according to the conversations and what people say and what people tell me, I was not there. I couldn't see what happened, but the fact that I feel bad for Puffy because this your man right there.
But guess what? Some people were still suspicious of Diddy. The streets were buzzing that Biggie was about to leave Bad Boy Records and start fresh. If that were true, Diddy stood to lose everything. His star, his legacy, his cash cow, and some believe that gave him motive.
How you feel about the people that say Biggie was asking for him coming to LA so soon after Tupac got killed, and him getting on the radio rapping Long Kiss Goodnight?
Man, you would get 100 people in the room. And out of the 100 people, probably 3 would say it was all right for Big to be in LA. 97% of those people would say he had no business in LA at that time. We all knew that. Why would Puff rent studio time? Come on, man, look. You gotta look at what people do, man. You know Pac just got killed. It ain't no kind of business Big was doing. Big couldn't even walk, he couldn't run. They was pushing him around in a wheelchair, brother. Why the hell would you rent studio time in LA for him to finish your album when in fact you got your own studio, Daddy's house? Let's keep it a buck. Let's stop this bullshit, man. Let's stop doing these interviews, man, about this shit. Because people ain't getting it. He did not want the beef with the Crips. Puff ain't want the beef with the Dog Pound, Snoop them or whatever. Big started that beef. You understand what I'm saying?
Fast forward to 2024 and Bam Uncle Ron Smith, Diddy's ex-bodyguard, drops a bombshell on TikTok. He flat out accuses Diddy and Jay-Z of being involved in Biggie's death. He says Biggie was getting too powerful and wanted out. You guys, he even said Jay-Z wanted Biggie gone.
Jay-Z and Puffy wanted Biggie killed. Bottom line. You don't have to believe me, believe the facts. Here's a man that wanted to leave Bad Boy. He wanted to do his own thing. He mentioned several times how he was tired of being used and abused, that he was bigger than Bad Boy itself. Somebody, and we ain't gonna call no more names, dangled a bogus contract in front of his face so he wouldn't leave the company. How I know I was there. Another thing, Jay-Z wanted him out of the industry, period, so he could take over and be the biggest hip-hop artist around. And I wonder who's the biggest hip-hop artist today. It's all business, folks. And unfortunately, you as a fan, most of you won't understand, but it was all about the business. And the two billionaires have done what they seeded to do. I was offered $30,000 to perform a hit on Biggie Smalls. March 1st of 1997, I was approached by Diddy to perform a hit on one of his artists. Finding out that he wanted all the rights to all his catalogs. I turned him down because I also found out that very night that Biggie had plans of leaving Bad Boy. Biggie should have never been in California to promote an album with a broken fibula bone, who can barely walk, to go to another studio when Diddy has his own studio in New York.
The internet went nuts, and then get this, just one day later, Uncle Ron dies suddenly. Fans started freaking out, calling it suspicious. The theories exploded overnight.
Diddy is pure evil. He has a very nasty disposition. He treats everybody like crap. Every single employee he's ever had, he and his mother have looked down on them, belittled them, talked to them like they were the lowest scum on the earth, so he could always have his way. Ahmad, Muhammad, and Suge Knight, or Amir, they took the blame for something that was already getting ready to be in motion. It just happened at an earlier time, because on the 9th, Biggie was taken out. And I'm so glad to this day that I refused to do that. So under investigations and working and cooperating with FBI, my story is being told. There's so much more that we're going to talk about with Diddy.
Still, legally, Diddy's been untouchable. No concrete evidence has ever pinned Biggie's murder on him. Even a 2007 LAPD review found no link to dirty cops, and Uncle Ron's viral claims, legally worthless without proof. But now, the courtroom is heating up, and Diddy is sweeting.
Well, it's the third day of testimony by Mia. That's the pseudonym she's going by. She is the second of 3 women during this expected to be at least 6-week to 2-month trial in which Sean Combs is accused of sexually abusing several women. She is one of 3 women who are going to be testifying during the trial. And she has said that during her employment for him as a personal assistant from 2008 until 2007, or actually 2009 until 2017, that he first molested her and tried to forcibly kiss her at his 40th birthday party shortly after she got hired, and then months later her in a guest room at his home in Los Angeles. And she's been under cross-examination now for 2 days. And while a lot of the lawyers for Sean Combs have been very friendly with some of the witnesses who reluctantly testified for the government, the lawyer, Brian Steele, has been very aggressive in cross-examining Mia, and even suggested today that she was making up her allegations, which she insisted was not true, that she's only testified truthfully over the last 3 days. But he again and again confronted her with text messages she had sent to Sean Combs after she was no longer working for him between 2018 and 2023, in which she expressed how much she loved Sean Combs and appreciated how much she'd learned from him, and how her opinions about him would never change. And finally, he asked her directly, how can you say these things? You know, at one point, he even confronted her with a text message in which he said she had a nightmare in which she was in an elevator with the singer R. Kelly, who was convicted of charges and now serving time in prison, similar charges even to this case. But she said she was in an elevator with R. Kelly in this nightmare, and Sean Combs came and rescued her. So then, his lawyer said, well, how can you make these accusations, against, Sean Combs when you're having a nightmare in which he rescues you from someone else who is a convicted abuser of women? And she said it's because she was brainwashed, and that she didn't come out of this until the last year or 2. And she said it took therapy and lots of confronting what went on.
Because people are talking, employees, security guards, and they're dropping receipts. One of the biggest shockers came from a hotel security officer named Eddie Garcia. This man witnessed something so disturbing in 2016, he ended up in court years later. Diddy was caught on surveillance camera assaulting Cassie, his longtime girlfriend. The video, heartbreaking. Garcia saw it all, and now under an immunity deal, he's spilling everything. He says Diddy tried to bury the evidence, cover it up, make it disappear. At first, Garcia refused to help, but then Diddy, he played dirty. Promised money, promised protection. He told Eddie, my angel, I knew you could help. The manipulation, sickening. Garcia made a deal, $50,000, 0 cents for the footage. Diddy was all in. In court, Garcia described how Diddy looked right at the jurors, trying to read their faces, but they were stone cold, no sympathy. At the payout meeting, Garcia signed papers, handed over the tape, and agreed to stay silent. He admitted he never even read the documents. Diddy came back with a brown paper bag and a money counter. Literally. He fed the cash into the machine. $10,000, 0 cents stacks. Final count? $100,000, 0 cents. Double the original deal. And Diddy warned him, don't make any big purchases. Don't draw attention. Garcia kept $30, 0 cents K, gave some to a colleague and his boss, and bought himself a used car. But somehow that footage still leaked and ended up on CNN, nobody knows how. And just when he thought this couldn't get any worse for Diddy, boom! Federal charges, we're talking sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, serious stuff. Prosecutors are coming at him like sharks, saying he ran a whole criminal empire with a tight circle of bodyguards and loyal employees for over 2 decades. This isn't just one isolated scandal, this is a pattern. And yes, it all ties back to that horrifying 2016 elevator incident, the very one he tried to bury. Prosecutors say Diddy's inner circle wasn't just standing by, they were helping him commit crimes, hiding evidence, bribing people, silencing victims, and all of this now under the microscope. Diddy has pleaded not guilty. His legal team is scrambling, calling it all a business misunderstanding. They're even saying any acts caught on tape were consensual. But hold on, the jurors just saw that elevator footage again in court, the same one CNN aired. It shows Diddy in a towel kicking Cassie. Yes, kicking her as she tries to escape. According to her, he had already hit her in the face. And when that video first aired, remember, Diddy posted this whole dramatic apology online, calling his behavior inexcusable. But now, that apology might become a confession in disguise. Even Diddy's lawyers had to admit he has a history of violence, but they're begging the court not to label him a criminal mastermind. Sorry, but people aren't buying it anymore. Not after this mountain of evidence. And guess whose name just popped up again? Christina Coverup. She was Diddy's chief of staff, his so-called right hand. This trial is shining a spotlight on her too. What did she know? What was she involved in? And how did she help keep these secrets buried for so long? There's one big question buzzing around the courtroom like wildfire. How did CNN get the footage? If it was locked down, signed over, bought off, how did it leak? Who leaked it? No one has those answers yet. But what is clear is this. Diddy went to wild extremes to make that footage disappear. He paid hush money. He made threats. He signed NDAs. And now, that very same cover-up may be the thing that finally brings him crashing down. Let's be real. Diddy has always painted himself as the untouchable king, rich, powerful, invincible. But these courtroom revelations, they're exposing a side of him the public wasn't meant to see. A side that's cold, calculated, dangerous. And fans, they're starting to ask the tough questions. Was Biggie just the beginning? How many people did Diddy silence? How many tapes were destroyed? And if one video made it out, how many more are still out there? The entire internet is watching this trial like a reality show on fire. Every day, new tea is spilled, and with former employees coming forward one after another, the story just keeps getting darker. This isn't just about hip-hop beef anymore. This is about lies, betrayal, manipulation, and a system that let it all slide for years. People used to chant, "Can't stop, won't stop" for Diddy, but now they're screaming, "Lock him up." Whether he walks or crumbles depends on how much more truth comes out. And if more of Biggie's tapes or voicemails surface, oh honey, it's gonna shake the industry to its core, because this isn't just about a video. It's about a legacy built on pain. And that legacy is finally unraveling.